Here we are again.
Yes, and today we're going to talk a little bit
about the dark side.
the dark side, the shadow side of transition, of being transgender, of being a trans man in the world. Something happens. Actually, this actually happens with trans women as well. This is something that happens with people who are different, who are discovering themselves. It even happens to everybody at a certain point in their lives. And that is, we connect with ourselves in a way that maybe seems self-centered to others, right? I mean, that's one of the dark side aspects of transition, is that there is this focus on the self that sometimes people say is kind of self-obsessed or self-absorbed.
It's a tough thing to talk about. It's like, there's a lot of stigma around talking about shadow self. But I think it's important, like kind of what I was saying earlier, is I think that we all have these sides, and I think it's really good to acknowledge them and put them out there. Mm-hmm. And we'll take away their potency, and I think that we gain more freedom if we learn to forgive ourselves. I feel like that's something that's really important in incorporating, into more of our whole selves is and authenticity and freedom of expression is like, not judging our shadow so much,
Really acknowledging our shadow. Mm-hmm. And give me some examples of what you're talking about, your shadows. And
stuff. Right. The thing I said is totally difficult to say, but I think it's good. Well, lately I've been really writing down some of the things that have been reflected back to me by really important people in my life, and one of them is you're selfish. And so I wrote that down, and I was like, okay, I'm selfish. And I thought about it, and I kind of felt my ego contract about it, and my heart just kind of like, I don't like to think of myself in this way. But then I kind of like allowed myself to go into this cave with it, of just like being with it and not trying to make it right or good or better, just being with that. And there something sort of clicked, and I just sort of like let it in. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's when like the dark became light in a way. Like I just integrated it, incorporated it, and then it was what it was, and it wasn't something I hated about myself anymore.
Very good. It's like, especially in regards to being transgender, it's like there comes a time as we're changing where we're like really proud of how we look, right? There's this pride, or this like, wow, I finally look like myself, also these questions like, do I look like myself? And you put on different clothes, and you want to feel like sexy sometimes, and you want to be noticed sometimes, and you want to be noticed for this man that you always were holding inside, right?
That was like essentially repressed, like this repressed for me volcano of energy and sexuality. Like just like this.
It's like you spend so much time not being noticed, then finally you get to be yourself, and you want to be noticed, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's like a good thing. I think that that's okay. I notice non-trans people wanting to be noticed and wanting to be, sexy, to their friends, to the public, to total strangers. I think it's like a biological drive to want to like be hot.
Yeah.
It like makes us then be able to continue our species.
And I'll tell you this, someone once wrote to me, and they wrote, like, one thing I don't get, like, trans guys I get, but trans women, I don't understand why they dress in these clothes that women would never wear, or, like, they put on so much makeup, or they put on, like these tight things, and, like, all these colors, and, it's like they're showing off or something, but they had these criticisms. But if you think about it, I mean, we're just going through puberty and like experimenting with our appearance, and that's something that everybody gets to do during high school, or during middle school and high school. We get to wear just funny different clothes and like try stuff out, and it's a little extreme. Like when you see, teenagers walking by, you're like, oh, they're going through some.
You can really honestly see that they're a teenager, and you're like, oh yeah, did that.
Yeah.
Well, we get to do it again.
Yeah, we're doing it again. We're having a second puberty. We're we're experimenting with how we look and how it makes us feel, and how we're being reflected. How we're reflecting.
So, what are some shadow things that
of my story.
You want to admit to the whole world on YouTube.
Whoa, what are some shadow things about myself? Jealousy. I struggle with jealousy of, really comfortable men or even really successful trans guys.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I have these feelings, and it's feelings that I will have with my friends. So my very friends, the people that I love, I see something, like even like your hair. I love your hair, and it makes me a little bit jealous. But I have to be like, no, don't worry, Forrest. Like, it's not about the hair. Like,
Right.
I don't need to do that to myself, because what I do when I have these feelings is I poison my own drinking water. It's like I'm just giving myself bad medicine when I have these feelings, and so I try to recognize that, and I try to tell myself, because what you really want to do is celebrate the people that you care about, not look at them and feel, this energy, this tight tension, like.
Yeah, and at the same time, I have to ask, like, how do you actually get rid of that feeling? Because I think we all have those feelings. Even I have those feelings, and I think that they're, just like ubiquitous. Like we all have jealousy.
That's
and
true.
envy.
Yeah.
And for you, like, I still experience your love deeply, even though, you might feel some envy about my hair or whatever, like, that makes you human. And so, like, my question is, like, how do we, I mean, I don't know.
Deal with these difficult things.
I guess maybe you are dealing with it pretty well already.
Yeah.
Actually. You're not projecting it on me.
And the question, you're saying is how do you deal with it? What you were saying is just being really honest about what's happening. You're like, you're keeping... You're writing notes, writing things down, and being like, okay, this is what I am right now.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes just saying it out loud and facing that. And for me, I have to see, I have to recognize what I'm doing, and I have to think to myself, it's okay. Like, they have their own story. They have their own, hand of cards. We all just have these hands of cards, these random things. And we all have things that, it's like the thing that you have that I want or whatever, I can just enjoy you having that, right? And I could just be like, that's cool. Like,
or you could go get it, whatever it might be, too.
Yeah, I could get a sweet wig that, no, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, I can work towards, and that's something like, if someone has, like, really cool muscles or whatever, you can work out and, like, build yourself into this thing that you admire. And that's cool. But those things are real. And those are things that we deal with.
Yeah, they are. And they're hard to deal with. And I think I crave, I envision, like, a circle of people just admitting all their,
You think that's healing?
Yeah, I do. Because, people admit, like you admitting that you're jealous, I'm like, oh, like, the pieces of me that have felt jealousy or envy, which, a girl wanting to be a guy, I mean, that was, like, 30 years of that feeling of envy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of envy, you know.
It eats you inside.
It does. It did, so it's good to finally be a man so I don't have to feel that. Like, I'll look at People magazines and I'll see some dude with a six-pack and I'm just like, I don't have to envy that anymore. Like, I thank God I don't have to envy that anymore.
Yeah.
But, hearing you admit your, feelings of shadow and darkness also helped me accept my own. And maybe this is obvious. I feel like even if it's just like saying it right now feels obvious. But on like a big level, I feel like we're really integrating shadow and need to integrate shadow and desiring to do that with each other. Yes,
it's like something that we do as a community. We're like, like we can't just have that struggle inside ourselves. It's something we need
to share with each other. And, like, every generation is just another layer.
Yes.
Right? Because, like, all this has been done before.
Absolutely.
But surely a forest has never existed before, like, in this manifestation. So you're doing something that's never, ever been done before.
Yes.
Ever.
That's
ever.
Yeah. We're just pioneers.
So we actually are pioneering it.
Yeah, breaking trail. Because each story, each journey is a new journey.
Completely new, even though it's old.
Yeah.
Ancient.
Whoa.
Like new yet like,
Yeah. No, but you're right. I mean, Yeah.
And for me right now, I'm
Yeah.
really looking to find like people whose stories intersect with mine
Yes.
in a place where they can love me through all my fucking shadow and shit. And so
Yeah.
people are falling away because there's a lot of shadow and shit, and
Yeah.
they don't want to be there for that, and that's
Right.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yes.
It hurts though.
Yeah. It's like if you hang on for the ride, a lot of growth happens and a lot of opening happens. If you fall away, then I guess the pieces are replaced by other pieces, but...
Yeah, and you weren't meant to be part of that story.
Right.
You were meant to do another story.
Yeah, another story. Lots of stories.
Stories
Yeah.
everywhere.
Interesting
Trees
stories.
of stories
Mm-hmm. Branching.
all around us.
Branching
And
stories.
the leaves are falling off,
Yeah.
and some of them stay.
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you followed our amazing trains of thoughts and
And if not, that's cool too.
yeah, you were there for some parts of the ride.